Man, do not ever underestimate the importance of momentum when building a project car. It needs a lot. You need a lot of elements have to come together to complete a car. You need the vision. You need the car. You need the parts. You need the tools. You need the space. You need the skills. You need the cash flow. You need all of these things. But momentum is the glue that holds it all together. Because when you lose momentum and the car just sits, it gets harder and harder and harder to get back to it. And I am way guilty of this. If I have any one major flaw, I have lots of major flaws, but if I have one major flaw that inhibits me from being really successful in the process of building cars, it's just that. It's momentum. When I lose momentum, forget about it. Getting restarted again, picking up and getting restarted is just, it's hard. It's really hard. I get distracted by so many different things, as you've probably figured out by watching this channel, right? But I lost momentum on our Belvedere. I finally today picked up and started crunching on it again. So I want to bring you guys up to speed, tell you what I've gotten done so far, how I've changed my plan slightly with it, my vision slightly with it, and just a general update. So the vision, slightly changing the vision. I said that one of the goals with setting up this propane big block was that in this car is that it has to be driven to the track. I got to be able to drive it to the track. I got two other cars that are trailer princesses, and I need one that I could just drive to the track. So that's important with this car. But then I said to myself, well, if I'm going through all of the trouble to make this thing drivable and making whatever compromise I have to make it drivable, well, then I might as well look at the bigger picture and perhaps set it up, make it runnable or legal to run at one of the drag and drive events. Like Drag Week or Sick Week, or there's a bunch of different ones. Now, I don't have any definite plans to run anything like that next year, but I want the car to be capable of it so that if all of the stars align and we can do it, I want to be able to do it with this car. And I want to be able to do it on propane. It sounds a little, out there, but I think it can be done. The goal when I started crunching on it, when I started working on it, I guess almost 2 months ago now, was to be able to drive it out of here to the new shop. At this stage of the game, I know that's not going to happen, but I can get a lot done here now before I get it to the new shop, and for sure it'll be running once winter is over and spring starts, so we can start getting to the track and playing around. So that's the slight change of plans with it, and the slight change of direction, and some of the compromises that I'm going to make, or some of the modifications that I'm going to make to the original idea to accommodate that drag and drive thing. So the motor. So the last time you guys saw this thing, I had it running on propane, and since then I've run it several more times. I relocated the regulator and mounted it permanently, so that's all good. I got a bracket, made a bracket over here for it. That's nice and stable. I still got to run water lines to the water pump. I made motor plates, so these are all measured out, so they'll just fit in between the frame rails, and I just need to weld tabs on the frame rails to accommodate these. And I've got all my bracketry. Everything's all good to go. The pulleys are ready, and so on and so forth. So this engine, the way it is right now, is pretty much ready to drop in the car. It starts like almost immediately. I do need to come up. They have a remote switch for this. This is like a primer to get the thing started. So you see these 4 bolts here, these 4 holes. It's for a remote primer button. So we're going to hook that up on here so that we can start it from inside the car and not have to crank it under the hood and hold the button down. But other than that, she's good to go just the way she is. Now, I don't have a nitrous plate on here yet, but we are going to put a nitrous plate on here. Talked to Andy Mays about it. He's excited about playing with this thing on nitrous. So, but that's it. Motor is good to go, ready to drop in. Now, when I told my buddy Shane Polito, Slant Daily Garage, he's got a channel called Slant Daily Garage. He's an engineer over at TCI, and when I told him what I wanted to do, I says, the car has got to be drivable. Highway drivable, livable, happy, but I got to be able to get it out of the hole. So I says, I want to do a lockup 727 for it. I have small block lockup 727 guts, and I want to transfer all of that to a regular 727B or big block case. So there's no problem with that. But there is no off-the-shelf converter that matches that. They don't make a lockup high-stall converter for a 727. So Shane whipped me up this. and it's like a 3,500 RPM converter, but it's built as a lockup. So this thing will get me my launch, and then it should settle down to a happy cruise and take advantage of the torque that, you know, the expected torque I'm going to see with the nitrous. So we got the converter for it. I have this core that I'm going to have to build, but you know, that's no big deal. Got tons and tons of 727 parts. Now the thing that stalled me on this whole project, honestly, is the condition of the underneath of the car, because this thing sat in my backyard for 15 years. 15 years. Now there isn't a speck of rust under there. The car's completely solid one end to the other. But because it sat for all of that time, it's got mold, it's got peeling paint, it's just disgusting, like wildlife and stuff living in there. But again, no rust. So, but in the meantime, I can't send the car out into the world with peeling paint and mold all underneath it. So this is like one of the things that's slowing me down. It's like the drudgery. There's hours and hours and hours of drudgery left to do on this car. So I think that's where, when I lost momentum, and I kept looking at it, I'm like, you know, I got to get underneath there. I got to suck some mold. I got to, you know, So anyway, I'm back on it. Finally started to get back on it again. And I'm not doing anything spectacular here. I just welding up some odds and ends, stripping paint, you know what I mean? Old paint, getting ready to paint everything under the hood and under the car. And the only important stuff I've done here is back here in the trunk. So here's the situation. This is what we got. The car has to have a fuel cell in it. Now I've got the fuel cell, and I've got this cut out for the fuel cell, so that's cool. So when we run it on gasoline, I've got a fuel source. Now this car is going to have to accommodate the fuel cell, the propane tank that it's going to run off of, and this is how I've decided to mount the primary tank that it's going to run off of. I'm going to carry a spare with me, but the spare is going to be carried inside the car. So this is where I decided to mount the main propane tank, and I did this because I need room. It's mounted exactly the way it is now, so that the fuel cell fits underneath it and there's no restrictions there. And then on this side, we're going to get the nitrous bottle and the battery. So this whole trunk is going to be full. You know what I mean? It's not going to be any space. But this is where I mounted it. I got the main hole down here is just welded to the floor. I have to make some kind of saddle in the back just to keep it from, I mean, it really doesn't want to move, but I don't want any movement at all. So I'm going to make just a saddle for the back of it that'll hold it stable when it's in place. It's a tight squeeze. I had to dent the trunk lid a little bit to clear it. But that's what's going on there. There's going to be a lot of action in the trunk. The car isn't going to have a back seat because, again, see, well, first we got the roll bar back there, but in the interest of having this car drag and drivable, I got to be able to carry a spare propane tank. I've got to be able to carry slicks. So I've got two sets of these wheels. So I've got these tires. These things like brand new. I think these are the tires that were on Sledgehammer for Power Tour. So I've got these to run around with, and I've got another set of these rims that I'm going to mount a set of drag radials on. I'm going to go with drag radials because I think it'll be closer to these tires. So I'm playing around, switching back and forth between these tires and the race tires. There shouldn't be too much of a difference. So, but anyway, that's what we're going to run on the back of it. And on the front, I've just got just these, you know, nothing special. So now, since we're talking about possibly taking this thing on a drag and drive, I don't have a specific date or event in mind yet. Just generic. I'd like to be able to do it if we're able to do it. So I says, well, I need a bench seat for this car because got to be able to put at least a couple of people in there and have room for stuff and make it comfortable. I scored this thing on Facebook Marketplace. You want to talk about sustainable? Remember we did that video about a month ago on sustainability? This is the very definition of sustainability. Okay, this seat is out of a 1964 Dodge B-body. Okay, this is the original upholstery. Okay, now the car was roached. The car was destroyed. This is just a mud stain. The car itself was destroyed, but look at the condition of this seat, right? It's in perfect shape. They don't make stuff like this anymore. This is the definition of sustainability. This seat is 60 years old. It's 60 years old, and it's still pliable, and the fabric is still good. Peeling a little bit here, but that's nothing. Right, look at the bottom of this. Look at that. Like the day it was made. So the only thing I have to do to get this in the car is the early B-body uses a slightly wider seat track, so I've just got to re-drill the holes in the floor of that car, and I could drop the seat right into it. And I think that's about it, right? I think as far as an update on this car, I think I covered everything that's worth talking about. I mean, it's hard to make content of scraping and grinding off paint and gack. So, you know, I don't want to bore you guys with that. But that's the update on this thing. This is what's going on with the Belvedere. And if nothing else, I'd like to at least be able to roll it out of here. You know what I mean? Have the car, just the suspension done and everything all good to go. Everything underneath cleaned and painted. And get it over to the new shop, and I'll just do the final assembly of it over there. The only thing I haven't really decided on yet is what I'm going to do for an exhaust system, how I want to run that. But it's minor stuff, minor details. And I'll update you as we go along, and anything really interesting with it happens. So that's it. Quick update. I'm going back to work. I'll see you tomorrow.